Good morning. I've been asked to do a video about counter meta, but in order to do that, I'm going to have to tell you guys about Denmark and the Danish meta, because I know that there are people abroad watching this channel as well. So I'm doing it in English, and right. Let me start with Denmark. We have 400 people in the Danish bold action community. Less than a quarter of them are active participants. So we have approximately 100 people that often write stuff on our Facebook page, or and we have maybe 50 people who show up at some of the different events that are done around Denmark in total. So approximately that. So we're not a big nation when it comes to bold action. We don't have that many players who are active, and we don't have a large community of competitive players. It's even difficult sometimes to get enough people to have time off to go and play abroad, team tournaments, WTC and that. But there has developed over the last couple of years, especially during Corona, since Poland, there has developed a few meta things in Denmark. And I think much of it has developed because of the WTC and us going out and seeing other people play and learning a bit. One of the things that developed was the barbecue list. It was something that we sort of... there have been a few players in Denmark who've been running 2, maybe 3 flamers in engineer units in their lists before. But since the WTC, some of us competitive players developed the idea that maybe you could have more. Maybe flamers were like the answer to everything, because they can basically kill everything, right? There's pointed at a heavy tank, and a flamer can still kill it. So so we started trying to figure out how to put as many flamers in the list as possible, and it became silly at one point. I think Benny had a list with 7 flamers in it. And we even played around with the idea of having vehicle flamers as well, and that has become a thing in the Danish meta. So the barbecue list is a version of this where you have more than 3 flamers in your list. Maybe some of them are on vehicles. The Soviet BA-20 is a favorite. And if they're not on vehicles, they're at least being transported so that you can sort of sling them up. So you might have a flamethrower team in a jeep, or you might have an engineer team in a Bren carrier or a truck. So that's the idea behind the barbecue lists, right? And they are very competitive. They are very deadly because they can threaten most things on the board. They have not won many tournaments yet, but the idea is there, and I definitely think that you can do stuff. And they have won some tournaments, by the way. They're not so. Yeah, that's the idea behind the barbecue meta in Denmark right now, and of course you can combine it with other ideas. I've seen that done very successfully, and for the WTC we have played around with different things that you can combine a barbecue list with. But what I was really asked to do now was to talk about how to counter that. What is it that you do when you face a barbecue list? When you face an opponent that has 4, 5, 6 flamethrowers in his list, and it's all mobile, and they can all counterpunch you if you try to attack. Well, the first thing you don't do is you don't attack. You try to stay at distance, and that distance is pretty it's pretty easy to calculate, because a flamethrower in a truck, they have the 12 inches of the truck, then they have 6 inches to walk out from the truck, so that turns into 18, and then 6 inches to shoot the flamethrower, so that's 24. They have a 24-inch threat range, and that's it. So you can pretty much guarantee how far up you can go along the board, and where you should encounter the enemy, where they should be able to hit you. So don't. Try to have something that has more range. Machine guns is of course a favorite, but you can also run autocannons and other stuff, especially if it's autocannons become very interesting, right? Because most engineer teams and flamethrower teams will be in soft-skinned or 7+ vehicles, which means that if he tries to move up and flame you and you have an autocannon, you can kill that vehicle, and you can strand the engineer team in a place where they don't want to be, where they can't really threaten anything, and where they are in the open and will get shot up. So autocannons and machine guns, very good. If you don't have that, there's other things you can do. Pins work. You need 2 or 3 pins on the engineer unit as they approach you. So, and they will be approaching in a soft-skinned or an open-top vehicle. So you can shoot the vehicle and just deliver pins to the engineers inside it, because they take as many pins as the vehicle. So as the truck moves up, just shoot it. Shoot. And you need 2 or 3 shots into that truck. And if you don't have the units to do that, try to go in ambush so that you can deliver those pins as they are moving up. What this does is it forces the enemy to make a difficult choice. If he has 2 or 3 pins, he might choose to rally instead of advancing out of that truck and killing something, because it becomes difficult to move them, and it becomes more likely that he will fail. So he has a difficult choice. It's more likely that he'll fail, and if he does make it on 2 or 3 pins, he will at least be pinned, either with 1 or 2 pins when he gets out and shoots. And pins do affect a flamethrower. It makes it harder for the flamethrower to hit. So those pins will make your own units more survivable from the punch of the flamethrower. That's a good idea. Besides, once the flamethrower has shot and missed, he'll be within 6 inches of whatever he shot at. Assault him. Charge. Because he can't shoot you then. That's a good idea. So ambush and deliver pins, that is the tactics that I think is most beneficial. You can also look at list building, because if you design a list where the flamethrower has a minimal effect, then you can work around. The difficulty is, of course, that you still have to make the morale test, right? But if you have 8 to 10 man units, your unit will at least not be destroyed by the flamethrower in one go. If you have a 5-man unit, that can happen. You can end up with like all of them dying to a flamethrower hit. But if you're 8 to 10 man, that doesn't happen, and you're not like the last man standing will not be a solo man. So you'll have something left in your unit after the flamethrower has hit, which makes it more likely that you'll survive, which makes it more likely that you'll pass the morale test. Especially if you have stubborn on that unit. Stubborn is another thing that you should look for if you're encountering many barbecue lists. Stubborn is the hard counter to that. Stubborn makes it so that the morale test is always on full morale. You ignore the pins for that test to see if you run away from a flamethrower. That is awesome, because that means that your units will stay there. The flamethrower will hit, yes, and they'll kill, on average, 4 or 3 of your models. But after that, you can charge, or you can shoot them up, and you won't lose your unit. So running veteran Paris with SMGs or something, rifles, and in an 8-man squad, they will be fairly safe from a flamethrower. The flamethrower can't really kill that unit in a single one go. The enemy will need 2 flamethrowers, and then then it's 4 order dice being used to kill one of your order dice. That's a good trade-off. So another thing that you might look for in your list building is you might look for recce, because you of course can recce away from a flamethrower hit, and you don't even need to go that far, right? You just need to go outside of 6 inches from the flamethrower, then you're safe, and the shot is missed, and he still has to roll for if he runs out of fuel. And he might. My experience is that people who run flamethrower lists, they always run out of fuel with something during a game, at least once. And remember that cavalry can make an escape move as well. They have the same rules as the recce. It's a bit different. You can only move 9 inches with a cavalry unit, but you can move away, and it's enough to get you away out of line of that flamethrower. So cavalry might also be a hard counter, along with stubborn, to the flamethrower meta. So yeah, those are my ideas for how to counter the flamethrower meta. Stay at range, use ambush, deliver pins, use stubborn, use recce. Yeah. Cheers. Bye.